Hello, friends. Welcome to this week's episode of the Mayn Idea Podcast, where today I get to sit down with the great Marcelo Garcia. A quick bit of housekeeping. As you've noticed, there were no episodes over the last 4 months. I've had a crazy amount of changes happening in my life, so I'll fill you in real quick for those that are interested, and then we'll get to the show. Ultimately, I've decided to close down my personal training business, and I'm taking on an entirely new career, which I'll start in December. But long story is, the interview process was crazy, and the decision was very difficult to decide to close my training business and move in a different direction. But with a baby due in under 2 weeks, I think it's the right choice. So the last couple of weeks have been absolutely insane. Getting podcast guests booked and edited and produced as a one-man band was near impossible. So I've shelved the show for a little bit, and I'm bringing it back today with one of the absolute greats. And sitting down with Marcelo was truly a treat. I think going forward, I'm stepping away a little bit from the consistency of the show. I've been doing one episode every single week for 151 weeks. It's absolutely grueling. It takes about 8 hours every single week of my time outside of my career to edit, produce, outreach, book, and then reposition for social media, plus all the YouTube editing. So I'm going to continue to do the show because I absolutely love it. Being able to sit down with the guests that I've sat down with so far is truly remarkable. I love the conversations, and it's a great way to continue to be entrepreneurial and tap into my creative drive while still having another career. So don't go anywhere. Don't take away your 5-star rating. The show will continue. It will just continue at a different pace. I'm forever grateful for everyone that's listened to the show thus far. All the 132 plus people that have given 5-star reviews, subscribed to the YouTube channel, and the people that make me stoked to do this, those that ordered rash guards, etc. So being able to be here, continue to deliver the conversations, it does mean the world to me. That's why I'm going to keep doing it. So thank you for everyone. And now let's get to the show. Marcelo Garcia is a 5-time World BJJ Tournament winner, 4-time ADCC Champion, and the 3rd inductee into the ADCC Hall of Fame. He's a wealth of information. He recently survived cancer, and we talk about everything. So without further ado, the great, the powerful, talented GOAT, Marcelo Garcia. Marcelo Garcia, arguably one of the greatest grapplers of all time. It is an absolute pleasure to be sitting across from you. I've been wanting to have this conversation probably ever since the podcast started. So I'm so grateful for you being here. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so happy this happened. Thank you, Abe.
If we go kind of back in time here, 5-time world champion, 4-time ADCC world champion, 3rd inductee into the ADCC Hall of Fame. You've basically spent your life championing, winning, being an advocate for the sport, carrying yourself as an absolute legend, and you're highly respected. But January 19th, 2023, you went through one of the toughest battles of your life, and it wasn't even on the mats. So if you could take me back to that time and walk me through that day, what was it like getting that diagnosis of stomach cancer?
Oh, it was just sucks, Abe. Obviously, I can be very detailed about that. Obviously, it's gonna take a long time to describe, but it was just like it was similar to the other challenge, but it was something new. But I didn't took much difference approach. I didn't approach much different. I just approach okay, that's something new. I don't know exactly how bad it is. I don't know what is gonna happen, but obviously I need to just keep a good posture. I don't want to see. I don't want my family feel like I'm defeating, because I feel if I'm showing that I'm defeating, they're gonna feel like very like a defeating too. I don't want to. I was most worried about I don't want to make my family sad. I don't want to make people around me
Yeah.
sad. But obviously it was a really tough scenario. But then after 2 days, that we got another diagnostic that was not spread out. Oh, things start a really bright up for me. You know what I mean? The day start to get brighter. But the first 2 days, then when I was waiting to see how bad it was, you know what I mean, if it was spread out or not, was pretty suck. And but at the same time, I was just living minute by minute. I was not expecting something much worse. It was already just bad enough. I was just okay, let's just wait. You know what I mean?
How do you think that your lifetime as a competitor, truly as a fighter, I mean, you look at what you've chosen to do over your life, And it's a road that not many people choose to constantly put yourself on the line, train as hard as you have to train, put your body through that kind of rigor. What do you think that jiu-jitsu did for you mentally when you came up against something like that?
Hey, but I know that we all different. When I say we all different, like we all human being, but we have like a different like a perspective of things. Sometimes something that scare you, other people has complete like a terrified of that. You just scared, but then other people like cannot even think about it. I know we are very different on those stuff for a lot of people. I'm not saying just me, but a lot of people we all different. But we have challenge every day. When I say every day, like from the day they wake up, from the time they wake up to the time we have challenge and we have decisions to make. And I feel like it's very similar to when you go compete. You have to make decisions based on what is going to be better for you. When I say better for you, not in a long term, you know what I mean? Not now, but in a long term. So I feel like I have a good sense of like don't run away from my challenge. I think that helped me so much. Doesn't matter how big is the challenge, doesn't matter how big is my problem, I don't run away from them. If I don't have to deal with, I'll prefer to not deal with. I don't not every time you have to deal with every problem that you think you have. And sometimes you can pick the problems like one by one. You don't have to pile all of them on top of you and then overwhelm yourself. So if I can avoid, I'll avoid. But like when I realize like, okay, there's no way I have to figure this out. I feel like I have a very strong way to try face my challenge and I approach like in a good way that I can find the best decisions to solve my problem. And we all have those problems, we all have those challenges, and that goes like every second when I'm competing, when I'm training, I'm really making decisions for a long term. And I'm really thinking about like, okay, I need to train more because I believe my opponent is like also is being trained right now. So I need to do one more round. I need to I cannot sit down right now. Even I feel like I want to sit down one more round. I want to sit down this round so I can go another. So I feel like this every minute, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you go back and you watch your highlight career, really. Your entire career is a highlight. And you go and you watch some of your matches, and the size differential in a lot of these absolute matches, you just approach it, like you're the same size. It's crazy watching you. Literally, when looking at someone who's two times your size, front, back, side to side, up and down, your tenacity and your commitment to approach them as if they weren't is a very unique thing. And I think it's one of the, it's one of the aspects that makes jujitsu so amazing is that the smaller guy can actually show that they have the techniques and the skill and the tenacity to overcome a bigger situation. Did you draw on anything like your experience in those absolutes when you're facing this kind of, larger than life, potentially life threatening event?
Abe, I think I have a very good sense of what's gonna work for me and what is not gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
Right from the beginning. Like for example, when I'm going against my opponent, I start pushing one way. Sometimes I already can feel like, okay, this is feel like a 200 pounds guy.
Yeah.
This makes he feel like 200 pounds. But then sometimes I push something else, like, oh, this doesn't feel like that strong anymore. I
Yeah.
can't. I think I have a very good sense of like what maybe in a long term I'm gonna be able to break my opponent. So during the mat, I'm constantly like just testing everything out. When I say test
Yeah.
everything out, I have a list of moves that I'm gonna try, and I keep testing to see which one works. And sometimes I just feel like okay, this one is working better than the other. Okay, let me just stick to this one. And then sometimes they give me a sense of like okay, this is not working out, but I'm just keep pushing that. I feel like I can break my opponent like in a 2 or 3 minutes. Or
Mm.
maybe I feel like okay, nothing's working that well right now, but I feel like that first option is better than the ones that I do right now. Okay, let me go back to that first option. And usually that first option is like that was the best option I could choose. And if you do that for 20 minutes, that could shift. Okay, it wasn't good in the beginning when we both are fresh, but now I feel like now it has a big chance to work because now it's a different match. Now it has past 5 minutes. Now it has past 10 minutes. So I think I have a good sense of that. You know, what I mean, what gives me like what makes me stronger than my opponent. You know, I don't go where he's strong. I go where I feel I'm stronger than him. You know?
This is a personal question, but I guess that's what we're here for. When you look at your time in these matches and approaching, let's pick the biggest person you've ever gone up against, or maybe the most dynamic competitor that you've ever faced in a finals. At the end of the day, the likelihood that that person negatively impacts the rest of your life is low. When you get a diagnosis like stomach cancer, you're faced with your mortality for the first time in your life. And you
Mm-hmm.
have to sit and think about that, and with your family, your loved ones, the people you care most about. And it has nothing to do with an opponent.
Yes.
So, what was it like to face yourself really for the first time in your whole life?
Okay. That's it's a very like a deep question. You know what I mean? Um, I want to find the best way so I can give like the best answer. But I always took my fights the most serious possible. Like is like was not a life was not a life threat situation going to compete in a just a jiu-jitsu tournament. But Abe, I never give myself all the option. I enjoy jiu-jitsu so much, so I always took that like a life change. Every time I face my opponent, I feel it's a life change. If I'm not able to beat him, my life is gonna be sucks. That's how
Right.
I kind of felt. I was like, when I say sucks, like, okay, it's not gonna move, it's not gonna change, it's not gonna get any better. It's just gonna stay like when it started. I don't feel it's gonna worse because that can be really bad for your mind. But on my mind, I was like, okay, if I don't beat this opponent now, I'm not gonna be able to get like a better job. I'm not gonna be
Right.
able to afford like a better living for my kids one day if I decide to have a kid. I'm talking about back in the beginning. So I always took like every competition a real like a high stance of in my life, you know. So I was able to like face every little moment in my life. I was like, okay, this is a deciding fact, this is a deciding moment. So I need to like take this very serious because if everything goes well, things gonna be beautiful after this. If everything goes sucks, like if I end up tapping the first minute, my life wouldn't change any bit.
Right.
And reality, like Abe, like coming from like Brazil, a small town, and try to get a better live, like you wanna improve your life, you know what I mean? But then when you like you just say like when you think about the cancer, everything like it's just like another layer of serious, you know. It was just like a
Right.
more intense. When I say more intense, like okay, now it's a big challenge. Now it's like it's a life threatening situation. Okay, but I cannot be attached to that because I'm that's
Yeah.
just so much I can do. So I don't want to be attached to that. So I just kind of I found that level that I can handle. I didn't overwhelm myself think about that much, you know. But what bothered me the most, Evan, Abe, what
Yep.
bothered me the most about like the life threat situation, I was like, I don't want to make nobody sad. That was really hurt me. When I say nobody sad, like I guess people's gonna miss me. I'm not even thinking about much just my
Yeah.
kids because that would be terrible when I was just thinking about that. I was like, I just don't want to see my kids sad. I just don't want to like leave them alone and they don't have me. And I think they're gonna miss me. I hope I believe on that. I think I can make a difference on their life if I can live with them 10 more years, 20 more years. I think I can have a big impact on that. But I just felt like I don't want to make nobody sad. When I say nobody sad, like
Yeah.
people that is around me, people that like is every day with me, like that was really hurt me. You know what I mean? That was really like a painful to me to think about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. As a bystander, as a fan, as someone who's has always been a fan of martial arts, a fan of your career and other people like you, it was a very surreal moment because I don't know you personally. This is the first time we've met, and so
Hmm.
seeing the news on social media, it's a weird moment in your life where someone that you look up to and idolize, and you appreciate their performance and their athleticism and everything that they've like committed their whole life to this thing, And then in an instant, they're humanized. And you realize that they, Marcelo Garcia is just like me. I'm just like my neighbor. We're just like our family. Everyone has that. We all got the same heart and the same brain. And like, you just see that. And it was sad. Sad is a great way to describe it. It was sad. And then, but to see you come through that, it's like, oh, it kind of like it was written. Here he is again on the other side. And I'm sure that there's thousands of people that have reached out to you and said, you inspired me so much. Your story impacted me this way or that way. Or I had a cousin and they were diagnosed with the same thing and I told them about you. And it's like
I
that
appreciate
story
it.
just has a ripple effect, and you impact people's lives by being able to keep your head straight like you have been and focus on it and compartmentalize it the way you have. And now you're in a position where, yet again, you can inspire hundreds of thousands of people. And like, how incredible is that?
Oh, Abe, I really appreciate this. Like this, like make my day. And you don't believe, you don't believe, unfortunately, people face their challenge different. Unfortunately, when I say unfortunate, because it worked for me, I was like, just try. And my
Right.
way was like, I just want to I just want to express myself and let people know how I felt. And that's why I felt like, oh, I need to tell people that I have cancer and I'm dealing with
Yeah.
a lot of stuff right now. And that was the best thing that I could have done. I didn't know that. I wasn't sure. People around me, my family, my wife, my coach, everybody was kind of like, yeah, you got. I think you should share with people. And that was the best thing because I just got so much from people. People give me so much
Yeah.
love from that, and makes sense for me because hey, people around you, they need to know what kind of problem you're going through. You don't need to complain about your problem every day. We don't need to be whine to people because I feel like there's a moment I was like, oh, I think I'm complaining too much. I think I'm crying too much. I feel like I'm being down too much. So we don't have to do that way. But people next to you, people that see you every day, if you have a problem, people need to know what kind of problem we have because there's so much help that you can get from.
Yeah.
But only people can help if they know if you have a problem. I mean, and I unfortunately I think like the us as a human being, sometimes we just hide a problem, from people that we love, from people that we trust, or sometimes you just don't trust, but you gotta trust more on people around you. And I got so much from people, I mean, people that I could never expect that care or even thought about me, and then they just reach
Right.
out. But I strong I believe and recommend we have a problem like people knows look, was my birthday, it was my when I say it was my birthday, like people were sending me um obviously I always get emotional when I think about this,
No,
but
it's
people
okay.
but
It's
people
totally
think
okay.
people was sending me so much happy birthday, and I was like I can't deal with all this happy birthday, and when I have to tell people that I have cancer, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, I need people stop sending me happy birthday and understand that I cannot even be happy right now, so give it a little break, and and that's what I did, and then people, instead of saying happy birthday, they just start to wish me like a good stuff, and that's it, you know what I mean? So that was a moment that was huge for me, you know what I
Man. Oh,
mean?
it's got to just be, yeah. I mean, it's heavy, man. It's emotion. I think, especially, you bring up such a good point about just like trusting in the people close to you and reaching out. It's not, you're not less than for doing that. It's actually, I think personally, I think that's a strength when you're willing to reach out to the people that are near you, because they're gonna that's what family, that's what friends, that's what they're for, right? Is because you would do the same thing if your close friend or your family member shared something with you. You're not going to turn your back on them. You would embrace them and say, hey, we're going to figure this out. And there's a lot of strength in numbers when they're close to you, to put yourself on their shoulders. Sometimes we need that. And it's a juxtaposition against something like jujitsu, which is, you go in and every day you're action forward. It's your combat against your opponent. You're trying to win or learn. It's physical. It's tough. You get tired. And so when you build that mentality, when something, negative comes up in your life, it's very easy to just shove it down, and you do that a lot. And if you do that too much for too long, you blow up one day, you fall
Hmm.
apart. So having that strength and that community, and I can't imagine. I mean, I'm sure that that will only continue too as you move forward here. When you kind of went through the diagnosis, you went through chemotherapy, you move along through the process. When were you able to get back on the mats for the first time?
I took like literally like a year off, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Completely. And I never knew those details, but you receive your chemo through like a device that they put inside your skin, and then they leave that, you know what I mean? And that
Yeah.
thing was kind of like what is supposed to be really good to people that go through chemo, so doesn't hurt, doesn't break, doesn't make you lose your veins. So that just like complete like a inside of your body going straight to like to the artery, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
But that kind of stopped me to go train. I think I
Yeah.
could have found some like some train session if I don't have that ball, you know what I mean? Like just like a airport. You know what I mean, I felt like it was something like that inside my chest. I felt like
Yeah.
if I don't have that, I could have trained. But that complete, blow off all my chance to roll. You know what I mean? I couldn't even feel like if somebody had pushed that off. You know what I mean? That would be like so painful. And not
Not not
enjoyable.
to not to interrupt here, but this is an interesting point, and I think it's specifically interesting because of you and how much you know about jujitsu, how much of a practitioner you are, a student, a performer. You just your whole pedigree in jujitsu. What did you learn from being forced to take a year off?
Uh, oh, I can be very philosophic.
Yeah,
Think
no, that's I'm
think
trust
about
me,
that.
that's what I'm here for.
Uh,
That's what I'm here for.
but like I learned that we just need people. We need people around us. We need like uh, Abe. I was like 2 days every 2 weeks. I was 2 days on bed. And those 2 days, like that I stay on bed. I was almost feel scared of people after I get out of bed. When I say scared of people, like I was not used to the world outside. Be 2 days, only 2 days on bed. It was just enough to make me feel like when I was going out to the supermarket, when I was going out, because I was pushing myself after 2 days. Okay, I'm done. I'm start feeling a little bit better now. Let me go out. Everything was intimidator. When I say intimidator, like the noise was like a extra like alert. And when I hear noise, I'm talking about like a fire truck or a bus
Yeah.
passing by. And I learned that we need people around us. We need to kind of like get used to people. We need to get used to each other, and not only in a bad way. When I say in a bad way, like oh, we gotta get used to a crowd. We have to get used to like be uncomfortable. But I was missing so much people to talk and just kind of train and just kind of like spend their time on the mat. Like a day year off was just like um, show me that so clear. When I say so clear, like I like to mention, I hope I'll not be too repeating, but like I feel like many times social media keep us apart. So we just need to be able to just kind of interact to people. And when I say interact to people, not just go buy something in the supermarket and just kind of interact with the cashier real quick. We need to
Right.
interact to people in a deep way. What I mean? We need to be able to like tell a problem. We need to be able to listen to each other, and we need to be able to kind of like have fun and laugh with a friend together. I mean, that's what I realized more that whole year off of the mat, not just the jiu-jitsu, the time that we spend before we begin a class, the time that we spend after we finish like a training session. That was unbelievable how clear I was missing that.
I always say I tell my wife each week I feel like, but Friday like training on Friday, we have a nogi session at our academy. The After you train super hard for that hour, when you're all just sitting there on the mats and you're like shells of yourself and you're all just soaked, tired, that's like the best time. It's so fun. You're just talking about whatever, with your close friends, people that you put blood, sweat, and tears in with every week. And there's just something really special about that. And it's hard to find that elsewhere, I've noticed.
I believe. Hey, look. sometimes people go through life without trusting a lot of people.
Mhm.
And jiu-jitsu force us to trust that somebody's gonna choke you and he's gonna let you go. Do you
Yeah,
understand? Like
that's true.
somebody's gonna stretch your arm the hardest that he can, and then when you tap or you just say like a tap, the person has to let go. So when you trust in people that you never see before, gives you a big chance to meet better people. When I say better people, like, oh, that guy today, I don't feel that good about something. Okay, that guy,
Mhm.
like, I want to keep myself away from that. But then open up a list of all the people that are like, oh, I have such a great time with this guy. I have such a great time with the other person. Or I never met this guy before. But then after you train today, that was a fun conversation. So, like, gets you to just like know that you can trust better. That's the type of deep connection that I mentioned before. We need to have like those deep connection.
Have you ever been to Denmark?
Never been there.
So I was in Denmark this past. What I think we went in September. My wife and I rode my bike like 4 miles up to this academy called Arte Suave and trained there. And to your exact point, here I am halfway across the world. I've never met these people in my life, but because of exactly what you're talking about, this trust system, the tap system, and the being in the house of jujitsu, I was able to train super hard with them for an hour with a bunch of different people, learn from their instructors and their black belts, and train and do it at a pace that was valuable and not get hurt beyond like
Yes,
the daily things
I
you get
know.
hurt.
I know what you mean.
But I was just sitting there at the end. I'm like, man, how cool is this? Halfway across the world, I get to train with people this hard, and I trust them because we're all on the same page about this. That's like a very unique. You can't like I don't know. There's just probably a million different examples of like other sports. You couldn't
Yes,
just like get on the rugby pitch and go and play somewhere and not get just absolutely KO'd flat on your back by the opposing team. So it's a very special community of people and minds.
and Abe, I believe like a jiu-jitsu. When I say jiu-jitsu live train, like your masks drop. You can't hide yourself. You know what I mean? Your
Yeah.
your true come out. You know what I mean? And or you get better. You know what I mean? Or people is just not gonna deal with you anymore. Do you understand? And sometimes just get people like, okay, I think I need to get better on this. I think I need to work like my temper a little bit more. But at
Right.
the same time, like you find people like, oh, this is such a pleasure to to train with this person, and then that becomes like your best friend, maybe. You know what I mean? Because you just train with somebody, and then you feel like you feel like oh, this guy is a genuine like a person. Is that somebody that like uh oh, I wish he'd become my friend forever. You know what I mean? Like guys, I'm very like most of my friends they come from jiu-jitsu, and we have so much in common. What that helps, but not only that, I just know them better than other people that we met in another ways. You know what I mean? So it's easier.
When you started to get back on the mats and train and start to move forward with this, what were the initial phases like for you? Like what kind of precautions did you have to take? Were you just kind of going through the motions of moving your body again, or what did your training actually start to look like?
My biggest concern, Abe, was just to don't get hurt. I was not even
Yeah.
thinking about like I was not even thinking about like my surgery. I was not thinking about like my how my body felt. My biggest concern, and I recommend to everybody when you take a time off, just don't get hurt, because it's already gonna be like stressful for you. After a couple weeks without train, the next session, you is gonna make you wake up like a so sore next day. So I
Yeah.
just don't want to be above that. I just don't want to like okay, I'm a year off, and now I go back train, and now I went too hard, and I jam my ribs because I went too hard. So my concern was just like a go back train without get hurt. And obviously what I did was like, okay, just don't go too hard. I wanna go hard. I have all the energy like a safe feels like, but I just don't wanna like get hurt. I just don't wanna be pushed back. I don't wanna be like a do 2 days and now I have to be 2 weeks off again. You know what I mean? So it's just something that on my mind, doesn't matter how much I was enjoy, I was like, I just cannot get hurt because I don't want to like be pushed back, you know. And I deal with that before after injury, you know. Like for example, I have an ACL surgery that was kind of like a good like a 6 months off, right? So I just did the same approach, you know.
Are you selective with who you train with in those settings?
No, and thank God, like I feel very safe with everybody. Like I'm selecting what I'm gonna do to people. Like if
Right.
it's that, for example, it's a big guy, I was like, I'm not gonna try to do this to them. Maybe I'm gonna do that. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of thing, you know.
So as you're training and you're getting your feet wet again, you're coming, you beat cancer, you're moving through this, coming out of retirement. When does this idea pop in your head that you're gonna come back out of retirement, compete again, not only compete, but compete on a huge scale, compete in one championship amongst the likes of Colabate, Dante Leon, uh, Cade, Tommy Langaker. These guys are, they're big names. They're athletic. They're young. They're following in your footsteps. I'm sure every single one of them looks up to you in the highest regard. But when did the gears start to grind when you're like, I'm not just going to keep doing jujitsu. I'm going to go compete at the highest level again?
Um, it is something that like I think people are gonna get used to that, but I never retired. You understand? So I just took a time off, and then people
Right.
took that as a retirement, you know. And since I took the time off, I was like, I never thought about that's it. You know, I just thought like I need to take a time off, you know. And maybe the time off was just because I was not so excited anymore about to compete. I was not feeling that challenge. I wasn't, you know what I mean? But that came back real quick. After a couple of years, I was like, I would see other people win. I was like, I feel like I want to win again too. I feel I can do that. But then my
Yeah.
kids come, and then I was like, oh, I'm enjoying this so much. And then obviously, like my life went upside down having kids. When I say upside down, like I wasn't expected be that much work and responsibility, and I feel like I want to give all my time for them. Then definitely that took off like my time to go compete, because when I every time I go compete, I'm just think about myself. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about like
You have
I
to.
have I have to just give myself the best chance to rest, to go train and don't get hurt, and then prepare the best for this. And as my kids got older now, I was like, oh, I've been waiting for so long, and come from cancer, and that make me like even like wait even longer. Like I feel like now is the time. I'm not getting any younger. You know, if I want to do
Right.
this, I want to do it now. And I don't know if maybe not many people know. I don't think it's impossible. I think it's kind of impossible people know exactly how I'm trained right now. But I still feel pretty young. You know, so I feel like
Right.
the chances now. I don't want to wait for be much older to go back to compete. You know. But results, like I never have the control of the results, you know what I mean? So I don't think about the names. I don't think about how young maybe someone it is that are gonna maybe end up facing. I don't think about like the wins over somebody. You know, I'm literally like just focused like on myself, because that's the only thing I can control. You know what I mean? The results, I'm gonna do everything like to have the best result towards myself. But it's not. I'm never like, I was never attached to the result. I was attached like how much I can train, to have the best like a chance.
Well, that's why you're one of the greatest of all time. It's that mindset, right? That's a differentiating mindset. You're not caught up in the small stuff. You're not caught up in what doesn't matter. You're focused on what does matter, and that's you and your performance and the person in front of you. When you look at this last year, one of the most exciting years for grappling as of late, with ADCC and CJI and just the highlight reels that have come out of both of those. You saw two different grapplers become millionaires in a, a tournament, which is just crazy. Did you ever think that grappling would get to where it is right now when you're in those early days of ADCC and you're competing and you're in Brazil and you're learning from Fabio Gurgel and you're just going through your life story of jiu-jitsu? Did you ever see it getting to this point?
No way. I don't think and it was much faster than we could ever imagine. I mean, obviously we dreamed for something better, but we don't know it could be that better. And sometimes people complain that it's not professional, but people doesn't know how it was before. And
Right.
it's just insane to think about like that maybe I can enjoy that a little bit too, you know what I mean? And I'm not just talking about the money. Like when I
Mm.
see people competing the awards in a gi and I see like the display that they put it to you go compete, like you feel pretty special, like
Yeah.
and then you think about like I enjoyed this before when we're just stuck in the back, kind of like a try find a room to warming up, and now you see this, I was like, that bright my eye, you know what I mean? They make me feel
Yeah.
like, that just enough makes me feel, you know what I mean? And then when you just mention like people become a millionaire, you're like doing jiu-jitsu. When I say doing jiu-jitsu, like doing something that like I have so much passion to do it. When I say passion, like I still enjoy every day, every time, and every minute on the mat. And when I say enjoy, like I'm not saying it's easy, I'm
Yeah.
just still enjoy. It doesn't matter how hard it is, I'm still enjoy. And to me now, to be able to still have a chance to, like, every organization has reached out to me, and thank
Mm.
God, like I was able to end up with one because it's people that I know, people that I felt they respect me, you know what I mean, and I'm just feel like I'm part of this, and makes you feel young too. That kind of inspire
Yeah.
you.
So do you have any idea timeline when your event will be or who you will face?
I'm waiting for them. They will give me. I hope they give the name and the date. And I'm doing my part. And I'm just like stick to train. Uh I don't know if people know, and I hope like but I was always open to express myself in everything about jiu-jitsu, in everything
Mhm.
that people want to hear about jiu-jitsu. But people has a different like ideas today than a different approach today from what I did before. And I feel like I have like try everything,
Mhm.
but I never did like a training camp. I just
That's
train every.
crazy to me.
I always
That's
train
so
every
wild.
day. I just felt I
Yeah.
train every day. Do you understand? Like I feel like I could never really prepare for one tournament. I was always like prepare for
Right.
every day.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
But obviously that can burn out. Yeah, that can burn out. Usually if you don't like jiu-jitsu, or usually if you're training really wrong. When I say train really wrong,
Yeah.
hey, some people like they go all the way to a black belt only doing one or two moves. I was like, this is insane. Like, or you're gonna get super bored, what sometimes people
Yeah.
call like a burnout, or you're gonna just kind of end up having like a surgery in in a part of your body that because you use that too much. You're not
You
spread
can't
out. You
do
know what I
it.
mean?
Yeah.
So those type of thing. You know what I mean? That I hope like I'm able to maybe pass to this new generation and tell them like, look, that's how I did and worked really well for me. And uh, the best way to prove this, like, go and compete and show to people, look, I'm this old, never took steroids. Um, I barely do any like a weight lift now. You know what I mean? So like, this is my philosophy, and I'm pretty happy with this.
Do you feel that you maintain that approach once you know your opponent? Because, like you said, this is a unique situation. You're used to, tournament style, multiple matches in a day. You don't know how your bracket's really going to unfold as you keep going. But now you're going to have a set date, a set timeline, and one person, which is very unique relative to how you've prepared in the past. Do you think that you will make changes in your approach?
I don't think so because it has been working really well like that too. I have done a lot of like I did a lot of super fights. I was lucky enough to my time we still have some super fights,
Mm-hmm.
and my idea, Abe, and based on my result, I think it works really well for me. I never trained for my opponent. I trained my game. I never trained for my opponent game. I just trained to make my game better, because when I go to a match, to a fight, I'm not going there to play your game. I'm going there to play my game. That increases my chance like huge. Because I'm not going there to defend your heel hook or your guillotine or your back attack. I'm not going there for that. I'm going there for make you have to work on top of like the moves that are going to attack you. So then, and that's an option that you can control. People doesn't
Right.
realize that, but like look, the other person has a very good attack, but doesn't mean he's gonna attack you, because if you make he defend your attack, he's gonna have to do with your game and not you dealing with his game. And I feel like I did that, and I work a lot harder now because I don't want to be under somebody's like a circumstance. You know, they're gonna be under my game. You know, they're gonna have to deal with my game. And when I say my game, like if I have 10 minutes, I hope I can display my game for 10 minutes and not like I'm not there to test other people's game. You know, what I mean, I don't want to see how good they are on a leg entangle or maybe like a back attack. You know, I'm going there to do my moves that I train every day. You know.
How do you keep learning at this point in your career? Like you have quite the legacy and you've been doing it for a long time. You're coming out of retirement and well, you're not. There you were never retired. You're
Thank
coming
you,
out of this
thank you.
break. Set the record straight. But how do you keep learning? You know, you're someone that if we were in a room and you were on the mats, I'm sure every single person would be looking to you to teach them how to learn something new. So when you're in the academy and you're training and you're with your peers or you're thinking about evolving your game, how do you still evolve and learn new things?
Sometimes I don't know if people will enjoy to have more like a simple answer or more philosophy answers.
I think
Answer, you
philosophy
understand?
is good. I mean, it's a podcast, long form. You know, take it
But
and run with it.
but for example, like the way that I learn most jiu-jitsu, I just spend more time on the mat. You know, I just the longer you spend on the mat, more you're gonna learn. Is the best way? Is the smartest way? I don't know. It works for me. I just spend most of the time on the mat, and there is a better ways to make your time on the mat more like a more productive. Yes. If you spend time on the mat just sleeping on the mat, okay, I don't think that will help you that much. But if you spend on
Right.
the time on the mat, kind of like a training hard and be able to study everything that you did that day, or study how we gonna train today. When I say how to train today, like okay, everything that I did yesterday, okay, today I want to do different. Okay, so before the match, before the train, I'm already thinking about okay, today I want to train this, today I want to train that. Okay, yesterday this like didn't work. I want to do different today. So you can have a better quality train if you just kind of like find a better ways to train. So we spend a lot of time on the mat and be smart what you're gonna be training. You know, those are a very like a simple answer on that. You know.
Yeah, that mat time is that's a game changer, right? Especially when you know people have limited time to dedicate in many cases to this if they're doing it after work or with their family or stuff like that. But that just physical time there is huge.
And you
But
don't
you're
see you don't see the improve every minute. So don't think every day you're gonna leave there like feel like amazed, like oh that was such a good move. Oh, I can't wait to do a new move tomorrow. No, no, it's can be very like a methodic every day, the same thing over and over, over and over, and the increasing like improvement, like you just have to find. When I say find, like you have to really like okay, I think today that timing was better of that sweep. Okay, tomorrow I want to try get that timing a little bit better. You know what I mean? Today I was able to hold that choke like this, like the first tap. I didn't even get my arm tied. I was like, okay, I think I'm doing something right. Let me try do again tomorrow because that was like a key moment. So it's a very little improvement, you know what I mean?
yeah, it's you know when you look at what you're about to do going into one whoever you end up facing and having this incredible bout, where do you think that jiu-jitsu goes from here? I mean, we've seen to some degree not like the gi ever went anywhere, but I felt like in the last 2 years like gi jiu-jitsu has had some really standout performances and they've done a great job of promoting it. No gi jiu-jitsu has grown exponentially, right? And now has it seems to be a place in the UFC, a place in one championship. They're definitely putting money behind talent and athletes, and you know, one and UFC are not going to put the kind of money they are putting into this if they don't see a pretty big return in the trajectory. So when you look at where jiu-jitsu's been through your entire career, from when you were a kid all the way to now, going back into it in this upcoming event, where do you think it goes from here?
I strong believe, and I'm hoping to become more and more lifestyle to normal people. I'm just hoping for that, you know. And all this what you just said, I feel like you're just gonna inspire normal people. It's like, oh, I just want to try out. And when they try out, they're gonna be hooked because like their body is gonna thank them. And I say thing, then like obviously you're gonna be sore. Yeah, but you're gonna be sore because you did something fun, something that was like a uh, um, make you think. When I say make you think, like yeah, you went too hard today, and then after this you're gonna go back and it's like, why I went so hard today. So you kept thinking about those moments. I'm just looking for all this that you just mentioned. It be like just inspire like more regular people to have that lifestyle. And the lifestyle, going back to what we just mentioned before, to people enjoy be around other people and not just be apart, you know what I mean?
So you had mentioned, never done steroids, not really ever prioritized like strength and conditioning because you're spending the majority of time on your mats training with your peers. If we look at, the last year, wrestling is gaining popularity, no-gi jiu-jitsu is gaining popularity. You're seeing a lot of crossover and people utilizing judo and wrestling within their no-gi performances. As a result, when you combine, that with some of these prize purses are potentially life-changing. I think it's going to incentivize people that are already athletic to start to take up something like jujitsu, and that will change the landscape of what it looks like to be a jujitsu practitioner. And my only reason for bringing that up is then I think about all the people you just mentioned that, like, getting more people involved, getting more people into the gi, into no gi to at least try this to see if it fits their lifestyle or change their lifestyle. Do you think that there's any risk with the sport becomes so athletic and powerful that it pulls away or scares people from wanting to get involved on those kind of more academy levels?
I hope not, and I don't think so because there's so many jiu-jitsu gym, and I hope like the better ones always gonna be able to like to accommodate a begin because one thing that was always my fear, especially when I started martial arts, I felt just intimidated to go a gym and worse before, and I feel like more and more the gyms are being more professional to open up for like a beginner. Like my gym over here, I have to make sure I offer like a beginner class. Yesterday a father, one of my daughter's like friend, he just asked me like if it was something weird, like, do you accept like a white belt on your gym? I was like yes, but then he was thinking about like what I just said, and then I was thinking about why he asked that, and then I was like, oh, he was just maybe think that I was only like advanced or just like a pro athlete, you know what I mean? So I feel like that will help the gyms that are prepared to introduce like jiu-jitsu in a easy way to people, kind of like start to understand and get their body ready to be able to roll and do regular train like we do. When I say regular train, like a full sparring, you know what I mean? I hope that will help. But unfortunately, people appreciate things when they see a value. When I say value,
Yeah.
like, oh, so they make millions. Oh, so that must be a really cool sport. Oh, that must be like a very like a good future for my kids to do a medicine school, doctor school, a lawyer. You know what I mean? So when they see the money, like usually people that just prove to people like, oh, this is like a serious like a sport, or people take this very seriously. I hope that would just help to people that only see the money. They think like, okay, so now like I believe this is a very fine sport, like a very like intelligent sport. I feel like those things like how much money people is doing, how popular it is, like would just help. I hope, you know.
Yeah, I think that, with people like yourself, advocates that are legendary in their status and have just been humble, good examples of truly what it means to be a martial artist. I mean, we could go back into, what got you into martial arts in the first place if we had more time, but just you carry yourself like a martial artist, and as a fan, as someone who, got into this later in life, but because of an obsession in martial arts, it's amazing to see people like yourself that still hold that standard, that it still exists. And I hope that that's just something that continues to pass on from academy to academy, of people to get inspired by your story or someone else's, because it can, and I've even seen it in my short time, change a life. You see it happen in real time, and it's incredible. You see someone who's unsure of themselves or timid, and they train and train and train, and they literally become a different person. And I think it would be a travesty if those opportunities were gone because something became too difficult. Not to say that it shouldn't be hard, right? Like you need to walk into that fire, but I really hope that your message and everything that you do continues to ring super loud. And that's not even to mention the fact that you're an absolute killer on the mats too. So it's not like you say all that and then you just, you're a wimp or something. You're absolutely one of the greatest practitioners of all time. And Marcelo, it's been a long time coming, but an absolute pleasure to sit down and learn from you. So I really appreciate you being here.
Hey, but I really appreciate your time, and that's one thing that I can add. Like, I literally I want to show that like we just you bring it up before. Like, I'm a human being like any another one. I have my fear, I have my downs, I have my good, I have the great days, I mean the bad days. So I'm literally like everybody, right? But we can choose a different ways to approach this. We can choose like a different ways to live those moments. And like the bad moments, we need to know that like, okay, it's bad now, but I hope it's gonna be tomorrow. The good moments, okay, I want to collect more of those. Even tomorrow maybe it's not gonna be great. I need more of those. I'll be hold on to those moments, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like I wanna show to people that like, look, I did that so much. When I say did that so much, like I was successful. I cannot pretend that I was not able to beat all the opponents that I have did, and I did that with gi and no gi. I did that being much lighter than that. So I just want to use that as a proof that you can be like a nice guy, you can be a normal guy, you can act like a normal people. Uh, Even you can be successful too. I feel like those things like doesn't have to be apart from each other. I mean, it's something that I really want to keep approach it that way. I don't know if I was able to be clear on that, but like that's my whole point. I wanna have a high standard when I go compete. But when people meet me, I want they understand that like, look, I'm just as human as anyone. I have all the fear, but I choose to don't hide behind my fear because I have all of them every day. You know what I mean? And I'm just like I'm choosing to approach them in a better way that is more health to me. And I hope like I can inspire people doing that. What I feel like I have doing a long time, but I don't want to forget. I want to keep doing this. Man.
Well, you're not shy on inspiring a ton of people, and I hope that this conversation gets into as many ears as possible to just continue that. So thank you so much, Marcelo.
Thank you, Abe. I really appreciate it. Okay.
All right. Hey, friends, Abe here. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode and sticking around to the very end. If you want to support it, leave a 5-star review on Spotify or check out www.maynideapodcast.com, join the mailing list, and stay up to date on all things The Mayn Idea, from future guests, sponsorship opportunities, products that I'm using to help me perform at my best, invites to ask me anything, and any upcoming pertinent information to the show. I cannot do this show without you. It is literally why I show up each week and put these episodes together. So thank you from the bottom of my heart from being part of the community. I hope you have a great day.